Parshas Re'eh. We're already coming. Shabbos is going to be Mitzvah Shchodesh. Shchodesh Lamed of Thursday Shchodesh. So Chassidim used to say that the Gemara says, Yois Atoy V'Leches Ma'Choydei Ari Ma'Choydei Psula. Someone's walking and he has a choice to walk behind a psula. Young women are behind a lion. She choose to walk behind the lion because of the machshavas a person will have, the machshavas others. She should go behind the lion. So Chassidim used to teach, interpret the Gemara like this. The month of the mazel of every month has a mazel. The month of Adar is fish, right? The month of is a lion, an aryeh. The month of Elul is Basula, a young unmarried woman. So the Achayre, going back means the concept of doing Teshuvah. We say going back means going behind, means going backwards and doing Teshuvah. Retracing your steps and doing Teshuvah. So the Chazal are saying over here, better to go behind the lion, in the lion, than going behind in the psula, behind the woman. I mean, psula refers to Elul, and Aryeh, the lion, refers to Av. Better to do Teshuvah in Av than to wait to do Teshuvah in Elul.
The Rambam talked about this.
I was one time in a doctor's office upstate, and I was there. And he had a sign that it said, "Avoid the Elul rush, do Teshuvah in Av."
I thought it said
he was an upstate doctor, so he had a sign that had to do with the summer, So do Teshuvah in Av, avoid the Elul rush.
I thought because it was the summer, he said avoid the basulas. I thought.
Sure was the summer. So something like why Chodesh Elul come right after the summer?
So here we have a discussion. This is an in-depth discussion in this week's parasha. We read about the haNidachas. The haNidachas, the city, which a majority or all the city
has
started to worship Avodah Zarah. And the city has the haNidachas has special dinim to it, different than the regular dinim of a person who, as an individual, worships Avodah Zarah.
You said it never was, right?
There was an The haNidachas is a communal city. It serves Avodah Zarah as a community, has more harsher dinim, and as an individual that serves Avodah Zarah. Even an individual serves Avodah Zarah gets a misa.
A different misa.
It's a different misa, the one in haNidachas, and there's different dinim. How all the belongings in the city are not have to be burnt. You cannot have any benefit from anything in the city. And it affects the wives and the children. This is all in the entire city, majority of the city does Avodah Zarah. This we read about in this week's parasha. So the right? So
which followed haNidachas.
An interesting point about the haNidachas. The haNidachas, the Torah says, after if you're Mekayim this mitzvah, the bracha Hashem gives you is v'nasal l'cha rachamim. Hashem will give you mercy. So Chaim HaKadosh points out, what is this bracha? I will give you mercy. It's an interesting bracha. I will give you rachamim. We don't find this in any other mitzvah. He says that haNidachas, the mitzvah was that you had to kill out the inhabitants that worship the Avodah Zarah. So after fulfilling this mitzvah, this can bring about in a person cruel midas, because if a person kills, even though he's killing l'shem shamayim, but once you kill, you feel like, killing is not such a big deal. You get used to it, and you could be moiled in oneself. People who kill be moiled in themselves achzarius. And he brings an example that we see by the executioners. In those times there was kings and they had executioners, and these people, they didn't have any rachmanis on the people that they killed. When they used to feel they enjoyed it. It became like normal. This is their thing every day, what they do. And they don't feel any bad feelings for the person or harsh feelings. This is something that they have a time against.
It's their job.
So they have they brought about this as cruelty. They don't feel they don't have any feelings for the person anymore.
Like fire hitman.
Yeah, then they give a hoot.
Rabbi, in the army, sometimes you have to kill.
Right.
And I did few times, okay? But
You did?
even Arabs, you know that they are your enemy. When you see them on the floor with your bullet, you feel so bad. I was crying, and my friend, said, "It's your enemy, but you can't. It's a human being. It's against you. If I don't push the target, push on me, I will not be here today." But still, you feel so bad that he has a family, he has kids, but I have no choice. That's exactly what you're saying.
War.
Huh?
This is war.
That means he doesn't care, but I'm different. I'm a Jew,
Right.
and
That's
I'm
the
Rahman,
difference.
even if my
And
enemy.
Yehudi is different. Absolutely.
And I felt that.
So therefore, the Chaim HaKodesh says that after one does this mitzvah, the mitzvah of haNidachas, that Hashem gives a special bracha that it won't affect you. Hashem will give you mercy, rachamim, that you should still have the midas rachmanis in you. He won't allow your soul to be tainted by the killing, and you can remain with midas toivus. You won't be tainted, you will remain pure even after doing it. Even though seemingly a person, even if he's doing it for a mitzvah, should lose sensitivity towards killing. Therefore the Torah writes a special bracha, v'nasa l'charachmim. Even though you will do this, don't be concerned that by killing out the Oivdei Avodah Zarah, the idol worshippers in haNidachas, you will become cruel yourself. I'm telling you, said Hashem, it won't affect you. V'nasa l'charachmim, I will give you mercy. I'll implant in you mercy that you will stay a Yid, which we know the three simanim of a Yid are, the Chazal tell us, by Shanim, Rachmanim, and Goyim Chasadim, so one of them is having mercy. So,
Not only that, the Rambam goes more. If you're over Allah, you're not even half possessed Rachman. You're over Allah if you
on the haNidachas, that's what they have rachman, meaning, but that you should not have afterwards on your own. You should not have that. You should not lose sensitivity to other people, to other life. Life can become meaningless to you. You can lose sensitivity to the value of life.
The thing.
Yeah.
So that's why they give, so you're saying that it could happen because they could kill out a city, but they give a special bracha so it shouldn't happen.
Exactly. Naturally, it does happen. It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. If someone does things very often, it becomes like normal. And they become very normal. That's why we find this very unique language. We don't find any other mitzvah that there's a bracha. Hashem will give you mercy. He's going to give us mercy. Not He will be merciful on us. He will give us mercy. Give us rachman. So that's how He explains with this mashal of the executioners then, that He says like it's well known, like He says, that how it's on this week's parsha. Anyone can look it up on this week's parsha, the haNidachas. Anyways, going into the sikha over here, the Rebbe has a very interesting sikha. The Rambam has we know in general in Torah, there's a famous Teshuvah of the Noide b'Yehuda, B'Cheskel Landau, who lived in the times of the Baal Shem Tov. The Noide b'Yehuda was actually also a relative of the Baal Shem Tov, even though he was on the other side, he was from the Misnagdisha team. But the Noide b'Yehuda was one of the Gedolei Hador, and the Noide b'Yehuda was a big posik, and up till today, his Teshuvahs are constantly, his responsa and his sefer on the Shas Tzlach is constantly being quoted. Now the Noide b'Yehuda has a famous Teshuvah Simul Amen Hey, where he discusses the concept that Teshuvah does not help for any punishments that the Bezdin Shalmata, the Bezdin down here administers. Teshuvah does not help. We know this from a Gemara. The Gemara tells us Teshuvah does not help. And however, the reason behind it, the Noide b'Yehuda explains, is because Bezdin can't see into the person's heart. So you don't know if he did really Teshuvah or not. So a person was warned. He had Asur, he had warned. He had witnesses who witnessed him do the act, whatever it might have been, that made him have to pay money, have to get lashes, to be killed, whatever the punishment might have been. And then he says afterwards, I'm doing Teshuvah, I did Teshuvah, he's crying and crying away. Bezdin has to ignore it. Bezdin has to ignore that. Bezdin has to complete the punishment that the Torah said to give. The reason that Adi Yehuda explains for this halacha is because Torah, the Bezdin cannot see into the person's heart. Is this real? Is it not real? Bezdin has to only judge with the eyes. He did it. He did the act. You have to give the punishment.
You need witness.
The ending of the Sikha, the Rebbe will explain a deeper meaning behind this. Because we have to understand, in the ending of the day, what happens if the person really did Teshuvah? So does it make sense that if there's a mistake over here? So that he's being killed really for no reason, because he really did Teshuvah? It's just because the Bezdin doesn't know?
No, the killing itself, that's it.
So therefore, that the Rebbe will fine-tune in the ending of the Sikha. But earlier on, the Rebbe points out that we find a very interesting exception to this rule, that when you Bezdin administers decides to punish someone, they cannot change their minds because Teshuvah. There's one situation where Teshuvah can help to take away the punishment, and not according to all shittas, but according to the opinion of the Rambam, by haNidachas, by this case of the 6 parsha haNidachas, if they decide to do Teshuvah,
Most of them.
if they do Teshuvah,
Yeah.
they can the punishment, they will no longer have the status of an haNidachas anymore.
Right.
They might still be punished as regular Ovdei V'Dezara, but the Teshuvah will have an effect. And the question is, how do we understand this? This seemingly goes against, we know the klal, the rule that Chazal give, that Teshuvah never helps for Bezdin Shel Mata, but Teshuvah helps for Bezdin Shel Maila. If there's a punishment that is Misa B'dei Shemayim, Bezdin Shel Maila has to punish someone, the person can do Teshuvah.
And the Torah said if they know this, they'll all put on an act as if they're doing Teshuvah.
Right? So
This is
therefore it's not accepted. But over here, for some strange reason, the Rambam writes that by the haNidachas, that if they did Teshuvah, it's good, they're accepted.
How do we know it's a real Teshuvah? Maybe they're just putting on an act.
How do we know? I don't know.
again.
It's a good question. I don't know. But
Ramban writes somewhere that if the Beit Din goes through all of the halachot in a Mishpat Novet, and they put somebody to death, and then it turns out that there was a mistake, the Dayanim do not have to worry about it. They don't have to do Teshuvah, because if they did everything al pi Torah, even though it turned out that he was innocent of this particular sin, he was definitely guilty of to be put to death with something else.
correct, it's a good point. That's the Ramban writes that in the Eidim Zayimim. It says, "Vasisim loy kasher zamam lasis la'achiv." You should do to the witnesses, that false witnesses that came and said that this person killed someone, or deserves malchus, and we find out that it's not true. So these people get the same punishment. The witnesses get the same punishment. Vasisim loy kasher zamam lasis la'achiv. Whatever he planned to do to his brother. However, the Chazal tell us kasher zamam lasis la'achiv. Only what they planned to do to the brother. But what if they wasn't actually carried out? If it was actually carried out,
They don't.
you don't get punishment. Meaning if the person actually got killed based on their false witness testimony, we don't kill them. And the reason is, like he's bringing up, that once they're killed, we say that they were killed for a reason, hashkacha, that it was an reason that they were supposed to be killed. But Mashain came, once they're killed, we don't kill the witnesses.
Rabbi, haNidachas, it's much worse than Arei Miklat. Much worse. Arei Miklat, you wait for the Kohen to die, Kohen Gadol, and then you're free. But here,
Yeah, haNidachas is, they did b'mezid. They did Avodah Zarah b'mezid. He punished Miklat. He killed b'shoigig. He built an accident. So he was an accident, so he could run to save himself from the Goyal Hadam. Maisa, the Rambam and the Ravid argue over here whether Teshuvah helps. The Rambam writes that if they went and did Teshuvah afterwards, the haNidachas, the people in the city, is good. They did Teshuvah, it's accepted. The Ravid said, well, they would never heard of such a thing. Never ever heard that when after someone's warned, had hasra, and after they did the act and those witnesses, that the punishment could ever be revoked through Teshuvah. We never heard of such a thing. The Ravid argues the Rambam.
It's Tzibur here.
So we have to understand where does the Rambam get this from, and what's the understanding behind this?
it's a tzibur, can be different. It's a tzibur. All these other things we're saying is talking about the yechidim.
Let's see. Sif Aleph. It's a sikh in Yiddish. We'll go through it. Parshas Re'eh leint ben alle moldem Shabbos and welchem a ben shchodesh el. Parshas Re'eh is always read in the Shabbos that either is a Shabbos mavarchim of Elul, other like in this year the Eresh Shatov from Shchodesh Elul Gufa. It's actually on the first day of Shchodesh Elul. So Parshas Re'eh has a connection with Elul. In Yoni from Chodesh Elul, Chodesh Arachim Aslichas of Teshuvah. The Inyan of Chodesh Elul is the time of Teshuvah. So the Rebbe is going to say we find in the parsha of Re'eh a connection to Teshuvah. Gefitmin in Parshas Re'eh a grois in Chiddush b'negei the koyach from Teshuvah. We find a great Chiddush regarding the power of Teshuvah. Avi vay Teshuvah can wirken, how far Teshuvah can affect. And what's an andere erte gefitmin nesnit. We don't find this in any other area in the Torah. Parshas Re'eh. What is it? Bichlal in general, help Teshuvah nor b'negei to beden shel Maila. Mata. Teshuvah only helps for dinim that are punishments that come from the bezin shel Maila. But not from the bezin down here. Be the Gemara zak, like the Gemara says, Chayave krisis im also Teshuvah bezin shel Maila meichlen. Those that are chayav karis to be separated. That's Maila, that they have to be cut off, that they will die at a certain age, and the children will pass away. That Teshuvah helps because if they did Teshuvah, the Bezdin Shal Maila will forgive them. Chayavi Misa's Bezdin. However, the Chayav and Misa from the Bezdin down here, Im also Teshuvah, even if they did Teshuvah, Ein Bezdin Shal Mat, the Meichel and Bezdin down here is not forgiven. When Azoibi does Benegay Misa's Bezdin, Azoibi Benegay Allah Andre Oyishe Bezdin Shal Mat is Vimalkas Yisbeh. The Mishnah, the Gemara Makis is only discussing Misa, Chayavi Misa, but as well, obviously, the cases by Malkus and all other punishments of Torah, punishments of monetary payments, Teshuvah does not help. In brackets, in the top of the left column, brings the Rebbe down from in the name of the Noidi B'Yehuda. The Tam Deruf is the reason for this din in Gemara Makis is Bibal Teshuvah Zikara Belev. Teshuvah is mainly in the heart. Bezin cannot know what's in a person's heart. See, outwardly a person can look like he's doing Teshuvah, but we don't really know what his feelings are in the heart. We find regarding the punishments the Bezin has to give to an haNidachas, they all have to be killed by the sword. All the belongings in the city have to be burnt, which you don't find this by any other other than that their belongings have to be burnt. You can't have any benefit from their belongings, their houses and their belongings. Paskin to Rambam as in Chazru also Teshuvah mutter. The Rambam says a very innovative din that if Chazru also Teshuvah, they did Teshuvah, mutter, it's good. Was a chiddush gadol b'yoser. There's an enormous chiddush in the Torah. We don't find this concept anywhere. That Teshuvah can help on something that a bezdin shel mata imposes a punishment. That Teshuvah can help. So we have to know. This Rambam says it on his own. Where does he get it from? Right away, the Rebbe points out. The Ravid Zak, the Ravid right away, who always comments, a commentator on the Rambam, comments right away and asks. I have not found anywhere that Teshuvah helps after someone's warned and did the act. So this Rambam does not make sense.
So what's the אפילו חרב חדה מונחת על צווארו של אדם? You don't give Teshuvah.
You don't give up hope.
Yeah. Somebody even, they're going to kill him, you can make Teshuvah.
It doesn't say Teshuvah. It says
אפילו חרב חדה מונחת על צווארו של אדם.
He should still.
Not if the cherev is from the Beis Din.
Right, not the cherev of the Beis Din.
Someone else, kind of strong.
He should still, at Teshuvah, he could still have hope that he could. There's still Hashem could find a way to save him. There's always a way Hashem could save him. There's always a possibility that Hashem could save him somehow. No matter he looks to him like there's no other way out. Always last second, there is always some hope. That's what the pshat is.
Don't give up.
Right. The Kesef Mishnah Bevar. The Kesef Mishnah explains. As der Tam von dem, was der Rambam halts, bei haNidachas helft Teshuvah Chesra wa Maisa, is weil die Asra, was man gibt, die Anshe haNidachas nicht kein Asra Gemurah. Man sagt nicht Masel Cholecha befragt, an alle Anshe ihr zusammen. The Kesef Mishnah explains that how could the Rambam say such a thing? Because the warning that's given, the hasra that's given to the Ir haNidachas is not a regular hasra. Because you don't warn every individual. They're warned as a community. However, normally in the Torah, whenever there's hasra, it has to be said to that person individually. He has to hear the hasra. Over here, you're giving a general warning to the city that they have to refrain from Avodah Zarah, and they continue. So it's a communal warning. That hasra is not a hasra gemura. It's not a complete, proper warning, and therefore Teshuvah will help. This is how the Kesef Mishnah explains. He doesn't show a source for the Rambam in Chazal, but he just explains why it would work. It's not against the Gemara, because over here it's not a hasra Gemara. It wasn't a complete warning. However, the teretz is not verstanden. The answer to the Kesef Mishnah is not understood. The rule, the klal chayavi mises bezin, also tshuvim bezin shamat meichan. The rule that we mentioned earlier from the Gemara Makis, that chayavi mises bezin, those are obligated by the death penalty. If they did tshuva bezin, it's not meichel them. Is a chnit mitzadem a tshuva help not hasra. It's not because tshuva does not help after hasra. It has nothing to do with hasra. Warning. But bezin shall turn over the page. Bezin shall mata kenetach nitrechem midvarim shalei. Bezin down here cannot see what's in the heart. So this has nothing to do with what type of hasra they had. This has to do with the fact that Bezin cannot see whether their feelings are true or not, are real or not. So why do things change? Before they did tshuva, when it was clear that most or that either all the city or most of the city when we see that the city has the punishments and they are obligated in the punishments that the Ir haNidachas is supposed to get, is how can Teshuvah come and nullify those punishments? So what? The hasra wasn't a complete hasra warning. Why should that change? Remember, the reasoning for the Gemara's klal in Makis, why the bezin cannot be meichels, because bezin not know person's true feelings. So even though you're telling me here that they're crying away and it wasn't a real hasra, shkoyach, but we don't recognize, bezin down here does not recognize feelings. We don't know about feelings. They're not recognizable, finished. There's nothing to discuss. It means zero. It should make no change whatsoever. No matter what the situation is, there should seemingly be no change. So it's difficult to understand the Kesef Mishnah's line of reasoning. Siv Beis. The Rogachav Goin, the Rabbi Yosef Rosen, the famous Rogachav Goin, who was a Rav in the city of Rogachav, from Rogachav, later on in Dvinsk, in Leningrad. In the Sefer, Tzafas Panech on the Torah, in Parshas Vayera, the story of Sodoim, he answers the sheet of the Rambam in a different method than the Kesef Mishnah did. And for die Shittas von Rambam auf der Eufen, andere Eufen. Sagt, dass mit die Werte im Chazer aus der Teshuvah Mutter meint nicht, dass der Rambam zu sagen, es kommt sie im Ganzen kein Eunisch. Es meint, der Dim von den HaNidachas haben sie nicht. The Rogachav has a chap. He says, the Rambam never meant to say that if they did Teshuvah, they are totally forgiven. And they're regular people. No. They're still chayiv misa. They are over the Avodah Zarah. But they don't have the status of an Ir haNidachas. The Teshuvah that they do can help them to revoke that they shouldn't have the status of an Ir haNidachas, which is much harsher, the punishment. However, the fact that it's still considered Oiv de Avodah Zarah, that each one of these individually served Avodah Zarah, remains. So they're not going to get the extreme punishment that the Ir haNidachas receives. That's what the Teshuvah will help for. But the Teshuvah will not help to remove the punishment entirely. This is the Rogatchav's Pshat.
Does that hold true to all of errors, or just the Avodah Zarah?
Only this whole concept of this Teshuvah is only mentioned by the Avodah Zarah.
Period.
Which is not only by Avodah Zarah in general, only by the Ir haNidachas, the case where a city as a whole worships Avodah Zarah. Okay. And only the Rambam mentions it, no one else. Okay. So we're trying to understand where the Rambam is coming from here. And where did he get it from? And what's the logic behind it?
what I'm saying is that because now that they're still over Avodah Zarah and everything else, they didn't have the Hasra, so they don't even get the Misa that you were b'chayif as an individual who serves Avodah Zarah. They don't get that Misa either because they don't now. What it means is they don't get the Oynish. They don't get that Oynish all because they don't have the Hasra aspect.
It's a good point. It doesn't bring it up here in the Sikha, but it's an interesting shaila. Very good point. Very good order.
A person who obeyed Avodah Zarah, but he did it mistakenly. I think the Torah says he brings a korban, but chatat, and he's forgiven.
100%.
Does that mean that
We're talking here about people that the whole city decided that we're becoming idol worshippers. Where we decided it's in Eretz Yisrael, in a time when there's a Melech Yisrael and you didn't have control of Eretz Yisrael. A city has people there that slowly they start to they have missionaries over there, and slowly they go over to Avodah Zarah. The city as a whole becomes either majority or totally of a city of Avodah Zarah. They have totally defected from Klal Yisrael. So they shmad, and the city as a whole shmad, and there's a special dinim for this city. There's so many dinim that it's command impossible for it to happen. Just as a status of a ear of a city. There's so many different details that the halacha provides when you would be allowed to give it the status of haNidachas. But al kopanim, it's not easy to give them that status. But even if it did happen, the Rambam writes that they did Teshuvah would help. So the Rambam says it doesn't mean that the Teshuvah would help to wipe off that they're totally scot-free. There's no such a thing. The Gemara Makkah says Bezin cannot be meichel them. It means to be meichel them that they shouldn't have the harsher punishment of being considered near haNidachas. They'll be treated as individuals who worship Avodah Zarah. Obviously, they did it willingly, and they're still going to be punished, but not as harsh as an near haNidachas.
I think Rambam ben Nevat put Tselem by the gates, and whoever came to Yerushalayim, he forced them to bow down. It was Rambam ben Nevat, right?
Yeah. Now, well, the Rebbe again is bothered by the same. The Rebbe is sticking to his point. The same thing he was bothered by the Kesef Mishnah's explanation, which was a different explanation. Kesef Mishnah said that the warning that was given to an haNidachas was not the regular legal warning that was normally required. It was a communal warning. So therefore it had a different status. The Rebbe said to that, so why should that change the situation? Bezdin still doesn't know if they did real Teshuvah. We don't see in the heart. So the Rebbe says the same thing by the day of the Rogachover. Very nice. So you said they're not revoking all of it, but they're still going to get killed, and they're going to, but not all the belongings and the wives and the children are not going to be killed. It's not going to have the same status as the haNidachas. But again, why should even that be revoked? We don't know if they really did Teshuvah. Why should Teshuvah? The logic behind why Teshuvah does not help and Bezdin cannot be meichel based on Teshuvah is that Bezdin has no idea if this is real or not. We have no idea that people did Teshuvah. Bezdin is not allowed to look at the heart. Bezdin Shalmata. Hashem looks at the heart. Bezdin Shalmata has to define exactly what they saw, the Eidim saw. That's it. Why should it change even this bit that they should be considered, not be considered the level of an haNidachas, and they should go down a level? They should be considered, nothing should change. The Teshuvah should not help one iota from Bezdin Shalmata based on the Gemara Makis. So we're stuck again. We're back to the same Shiloh. Why did the Rambam write that if they do Teshuvah, it helps at some level? According to the Rogachover, the Kesef Mishnah seemed to be totally, doesn't help them totally to be scot-free. According to the Rogachover, not totally, just they don't have the status of haNidachas. Says the Rebbe, it shouldn't help at all on one iota. Bezdin does not see into the heart. That's the reasoning behind the logic behind this din. There should be no change at all to the din. So we have to understand why the Rambam held there was a change.
I was thinking that if they're faced with a pachad mavis, right, and it's a Yehudi, you know it's gone over to the other side, but if it's faced with pachad mavis, that the particular yid that he has
comes out.
He's forced to comes out and he's forced to do.
Then we wouldn't kill anyone. We wouldn't kill anyone because
in this case,
any time a person would have a Bezdin Shalmata, the Bezdin Shalmata would have to impose a Misa. You know, you could tie into that right before. By the way, there's a chiyuv, the Bezdin has a chiyuv to tell the person that you should and you should right now do vidui, say vidui. And it says that the person should say vidui even if he knows he's innocent. He should say vidui and confess all the sins that he did, and he should say in his life, and say that the Misa should be his kapara, that we should go to Shemayim clean. And that the Misa itself should accomplish everything. He shouldn't be punished l'mayla. He should do vidui. Everyone has to do vidui first.
I'm sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
if I missed it. If the city that's of idol worship,
Yeah.
do they have to be warned beforehand?
Yes.
By
They were sent messages and warned, but as a community, they didn't have to go to each person in the city, door to door,
I see.
knocking on every door, make sure they met every person.
I see.
It was communal warning.
I see. And if they didn't do that warning, then
No.
this cannot happen.
No. But there's a lot of other conditions. It's very difficult to have it, to create the status of haNidachas. It's very difficult. There are many, many conditions for there to be such a possibility. But we're discussing in Inyan, in concept, that the Rambam says you could do Teshuvah, which seems very strange.
The prohibition of Avodah Zarah is only on Jews or the whole world?
The whole world, but the haNidachas does not, the status does not apply to Goyim. Only Yidden can create the status of haNidachas. The reason for this, maybe we'll understand at the ending. Let's go to Sif Gimel, the bottom of page 107. We said Baal Peh, we spoke out what it says until Sif Gimel. So the Kesef Mishnah, the Rogatchover are trying to understand the logic behind the Rambam's din. But the Rambam can't make up things on his own. It has to have a source in Chazal and Gemara, a source in Torah somewhere. So where's the source? We haven't discussed that yet. Where did the Rambam learn this out from? He had to learn this out from some din, some story, something. Where did he get this din? That you can do Teshuvah. Zak the Rogatchover, so the Rogatchover himself does point out a source for it. It's in the pasuk Dana ve'era. It's in the source by the story of Sodom. In Parashas Vayera, in the source of Sodom, it says Hashem said Dana, I will go down ve'era, I will see if the Sodom Taka indeed did all these terrible acts.
Why you need to go down to see?
Now, he explained Sodom is given the gather from haNidachas. According to Chazal, Yishalmi, Tisefta, Sodom wasn't only that they were immoral. Sodom had the status of an haNidachas. They were all over the Avodah Zarah. Uvibalt has been Egeya, page 108, Sodom. Hat der Eberste gesagt, Vim Taiven Leispera. Regarding Sodom, Hashem said, if they will do Teshuvah, the Targum Unkelis brings down, that if they would have done Teshuvah in Sodom, they wouldn't have been punished. Therefore, from this story, the story of Sodom, that Sodom had, according to Chazal, the status of a haNidachas. And as well, the Targum Unkelis brings out that if they would have done Teshuvah, they would have been forgiven. They wouldn't have been punished. From there, the Rambam learns out that by every haNidachas, not only Sodom, but every city that has a status of haNidachas, Teshuvah will help. If it helped for Sodom,
Ninveh.
if it helped for Sodom, but that's why they had a status of Avodah Zarah as a community.
But there's a big difference. But it's a big difference because God is the one who is going to destroy Sodom, and He was the one who knew whether or not that the Teshuvah was real.
Correct. That's Ha'ara 15 in the Sikha.
Why he says no? Why you need to go down?
Huh?
The Abishah says no, I will go down. And from up there you can see, you have to go down to see.
Hey, that says that he teaches a dayan, that there the Chazal say that teaches a dayan, to learn out that a dayan has to always go into the situation
And see it.
from himself and throw himself into it. He can't just throw out a din. He has to know, investigate, know the facts properly before he administers a psak din.
But his zone was only 5 Jews. When Abraham said if you have 10, 50, 40,
No,
was Lot and few.
If I find 5 tzaddikim, everyone was very
Yeah, but we know only about Lot as a Jew was there. We don't know nobody else.
So there's a number of issues. One issue is that you brought it very well. The issue that Sodom was a punishment l'mayla, but there was no bezin shel mata. Avram wasn't punishing them; it was Hashem. So there, you could say Teshuvah could help, right? So that's it. That's already. How could the Rambam learn out from there that haNidachas, which a punishment of an haNidachas, which is imposed by a bezin down here, can be revoked by Teshuvah. That's where Hashem, you do Teshuvah to Hashem is telling you have a status in haNidachas, is going to wipe out the city. You can do Teshuvah. That's good for Bezdin Shalmah, because Hashem knows if they do Teshuvah. That's one kasha. Another thing is, how could the Rambam learn out a din with something that happened before Matan Torah? Before the Torah was given, there wasn't mitzvahs. So there's a whole different seder of order of how things were dealt with.
Avram kept the whole time.
It's not Avram, this is about Sodom and Hashem. Avram personally kept as a chumrah, the Avis kept as a chumrah on themselves, the Avis and the Shvatim kept Torah. But it's not, there was no chiv of Torah, and there's a klal, there is a rule, you're not allowed to learn out from episodes that happened before the Torah was given to after the Torah was given. What happened before is not negaya. Once Matan Torah happened,
They were machmirim.
and what happened with Matan Torah, the Torah was given again.
You say other Rabbah, because it was no Torah, everything goes after Lamaila. Now, when the Torah is going to where's the Torah? Torah is here. It's not up here. But before the Torah, you could say emphasis that other Rabbah, because we learn out from the Eibishter, you could learn all the Allah.
And by the way, another thing is, a good point. Another thing is that the Rebbe says, even though you could find an example where we see this concept, that we do learn out things from before Matan Torah. Regarding haNidachas itself, there's a thing clearly in Gemara that we learn out from Sodom, from the story of Sodom, as being an haNidachas. What din? We learn out the din that anyone's possessions, even the possessions of the tzaddikim in the city that didn't worship Avodah Zarah, was burned. Light was not allowed to take his possessions. I said Light was not excited. He wasn't running so quickly because the pasuk of Yisma'amah, right? The Shalshelis. He was busy thinking about his money. They said, "You got to leave." He wasn't allowed to take his money with him. Why not? Why couldn't he save his money? He wasn't as bad as them.
No time.
So it wasn't only Hashem could have waited a minute too, right? The issue was that haNidachas, the status of haNidachas, the Gemara says, is that so bad, there's such tumah in the city that even any belongings there, you can't have any benefit from anything that's anything is that area of that tumah. Avodah Zarah, it's all lost. So you might be a tzaddik, but you have to run out, and your stuff gets burned. So l'chora, we are learning out a din from before Matan Torah. So maybe the Rambam could also learn out a din from before Matan Torah. The Rambam could say if you do Teshuvah, will help, just like by Sodom it helped. Well, the Gemara itself learns out dinim of haNidachas from before. So that itself we can ask a kasha. How can we learn out from dinim before Matan Torah? The klal is ein lameidim mikoydem Matan Torah. The Gemara Yishalmi says you're not allowed to learn out from anything before Matan Torah. We can only learn out from psukim after Matan Torah. We do not do the bris milah because Hashem commanded Avram Avinu and his seed to do it. We do it because on Matan Torah we were commanded to do the mitzvah bris milah. In Parashat Tazria, we were told to do the bris milah. The shaila why we say lachnise bebris shel Avram Avinu. That's a big chiddush. But Ba'etzem, the Rambam himself says in Pirush HaMishnayos, he clearly says that we do not do the mitzvahs. Even bris milah, which till today we're connecting it to Avram Avinu, we don't do it because Avram Avinu was commanded to do it.
Because he was the first one.
We do it because we're commanded on Matan Torah to do it. It's a whole different level. The mitzvahs before Matan Torah and the mitzvahs after Matan Torah are totally different. So we can't learn out from things that happened before. So that example itself, that we're bringing a raya, the Rambam's allowed to learn out from before Matan Torah, that if you do Teshuvah, just like in Sodom they could have done Teshuvah. So to haNidachas, today you can also do Teshuvah. The raya to help the Rambam itself needs an understanding. How could the Gemara itself learn out? The Gemara is contradicting itself. Do we learn out from before Matan Torah things or not? As a general rule, we don't. How can we learn out that Lot's possessions, Tzaddik's possessions, are also burnt? Page 108, Sif Dalet, left column. Wenn man es verstehen, die Bier bechal now will understand this all, the hektim nachher Ingen Tmor, was man gefilmt bei den Dinim haNidachas. Understand it by Ingen, something which is difficult to understand by haNidachas. In general, the din is that if someone did an act did an Aveda or a few Avedas, which he's supposed to get, let's say, 2 punishments for it. 2 misas for it. Chman al-Tzlan. Which one does he get? The more Chomer one. Nidim b'Chamori, he gets the more stringent one. Now there are 4 different misas that Bezin is allowed to administer. Skila, Sreifa, Hedeg, Chedeg. Hedeg is cherev, by the sword. It's the saif. The misa of a person who is oived avodah zara, we're talking about maliciously, on purpose, on an individual person, is killed by the sword. However, ir haNidachas is through skila. I'm sorry, the opposite. Oived avodah zara is an individual receives stoning, skila. However, ir haNidachas, hake sake lefi chorev, like we said earlier. This week's parasha, based on the sword. Seemingly, it's
lighter by
the ir haNidachas, the sword, is considered a lighter punishment than stoning. It's a lighter misa. It's not as painful as meat. It's in the Torah, not as chomer.
One shot.
So the question is,
The result is the same.
the method.
Right. Okay.
So the Maisa, the question over here is, how, if someone serves Avodah Zarah as an individual, so he gets skila, a harsher punishment. If they did it as a community, then they get a lesser punishment. Each one is only killed a fi charev, based on the sword. What happened here? And furthermore, until they reached the point where majority of the city did it, and then they had the status in haNidachas, they did it as individuals. One by one, people were doing it slowly, worshipping Avodah Zarah. So they were each deserving the misa of skila as individuals. Before they became haNidachas, when they hit the majority of the city, most of the city, or all the city, worshipped Avodah Zarah, then now they have the new status of ir haNidachas. So now, the status of ir haNidachas, they get saif. But they already were supposed to be punished with a harsher punishment of skila. So when someone's chayiv in both, l'chori should get the skila.
There's no asura by the individuals, it was only asura by Shia. I don't understand the kasha. If they would have had asura, they would have been, taka they would have, adarabba. If they would have individually done it, they would have been chayiv misa and they would have had it.
Good question, I don't know. Shayla. Connects to your other shayla. It's not a Hasra Gemara. It's not a Smar Gemara.
I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
On the kasha itself, like in Hasidus, Tanya said, if you Tanya, whatever, when it calls this is a more chamer misa, this is a mekel misa, that has to do with a certain inyan. It doesn't mean necessarily that this is in every case. That's why an individual you get the more chamor. It doesn't mean that this is mamish a stricter avera or lesser avera or anything. Meaning that concept wouldn't apply to a separate type of avodah zarah like that. Why does the misa switch? It's not really a kasha. Why? You think it's kalos bechaburis, chaburis bekalos?
No, I think it's a little different what it says in Tanya there. I think it's different.
Yeah.
Talk after the shir a little bit. I hear what you're saying. So, the Rebbe brings out for this that the status of ir haNidachas, it's not pshat that there's a din on every single person as an individual, as an oived avodah zarah. There's no individuality here. It's yoy shvei ha'ir. Yoy shvei ha'ir are being punished over here, as a tzibur. Even though they started slowly worshipping Avodah Zarah as individuals, once they reached the point where Roiv Ha'ir or Kol Ha'ir is worshipping Avodah Zarah, they receive a new status. They are no longer considered individuals that have done Avodah Zarah. They have a new Metzias. They're tzibur of Avodah Zarah. It's like it says Benegei Minyan. In order to be able to say have a minyan, you need to have 10 people. 10. It's not when you have 10 people. It's not just now I have 10 people. When you reach the magical number of 10, the number the Torah wants of 10, it becomes a new status of a tzibur. This is now a kehila. It's a minyan. It's a tzibur. It's not 10 individuals. The Shechina is shari on the tzibur. The Ir haNidachas, once it reaches, it loses its individuality. It's not pshat that there's individuals here in the city that are deserving of Avodah Zarah. Since their numbers have become so many individuals, they now receive the punishment of Ir haNidachas. They lost their individual status. Once they've reached the level of Ir haNidachas, they're no longer judged as individuals anymore. Whatever happened to them, whatever they did in the past, we disregard it as an individual act. We look at it as a communal act, as Yoshvei Ha'ir. So therefore, it's not negeya that if they did it as an individual, they're punished with skila. Because we don't view them as doing something as individuals, that they're chayiv in skila. They did it as a community. Once they reached it as a level of a tzibur, it's mavatal. It nullifies any individuality in the city. And they did it as a community. It was a community act. And once it's a community act of Yoshvei Ha'ir, people in the city, so then the whole punishment of skila falls away. It's a whole new status here. It's not pshat they originally were chayiv skila, and now things changed. It's a new picture. It's a new picture over here. It's Yoshvei Ha'ir. It's a new status, so it could be a different punishment. It could be saif. Based on this, we'll understand also why over here, usually when someone worships Avodah Zarah, it only affects him, but not his family members. When it comes to Ir haNidachas, all of those that worship Avodah Zarah, their families are also killed.
Your children.
Nashim v'taf. L'chora, talking from a halacha perspective, later on we can talk more about what's pshat in the moral perspective, but from a halacha perspective, they didn't sin. Why should they be punished? Why did they get misa? So the Mefarshim explain on the Rambam, the Migdalois, that lirdis hagdoilim b'harigasin shechavim aleim. In order that the adults should be punished more, to show how extreme it is, that if you're going to do Avodah Zarah, this is what's going to happen. Stay away from Avodah Zarah. The adults, your families will be wiped out. So you know it's such a punishment, you'll stay away from it. How this explanation is difficult to understand. At the ending of the day, the Nashim and the Taf did not deserve Misa. So, Einachanami, that's a way of punishing the adult, the father, the husband. However, Lamaisa, these people did not deserve Misa. So why should they get Misa?
Like the time of your own, Korach, the whole thing, they didn't social guys.
Kama Kosha Machloikis.
They were involved.
Yes, that's the Inyan of Machloikis. However, we can explain like this: the din, legally, the din of Hake Sakes Yoshvei Ha'ir, it's not a chi of Misa on a punishment. It's not a punishment for a sin. It's a din on the whole city. When it reaches that number, the majority of the city did it. The city has a status of Ir haNidachas. Yoshvei Ha'ir, it's a punishment on the whole city.
Even the
it's
ones
not anymore
didn't,
individually.
Even the ones that didn't do
They're not part of that Ir. They weren't part of the Ir.
They're not part of the community.
No.
So what does that imply?
So one says Yoshvei Ha'ir, it's a community. It's not. It's not a. If we're looking at every individual, then yes, we're judging each individual. If this is a punishment based on a country, on a city, then we're not dealing with individual. It's a punishment that it reached a certain point of the city. Right. The city is being punished.
There's a riot because if there's someone who was there who wasn't part of Avodah Zarah, right? All his belongings also get burned because that's part of the Ir, according to the Rambam.
Oh, now.
So what is Teshuvah now affected?
No, we didn't get there yet. We're working our way there. We're getting there. First, they're building it up. So the same thing is with the din. We know they have to burn all the possessions in the city. We don't find this by any oivd Avodah Zarah that you have to burn the possession in the city. Alamai, the same beer we could use. It's a punishment not on certain people that the Avodah Zarah. It's on the city. It's the city has to be burnt. It's a punishment, a collective punishment, the whole city. Yoshvei Ha'ir, this city is teignisht. It's the families, the shalom. It's a very harsh punishment. But it's on the city. It's on the Yoshvei Ha'ir. So therefore, it's anything in the city. The nechasim, even the nichsei tzadikim that are in the city, are included in the Yoshvei Ha'ir.
Wow.
Like we said by Lloyd. Based on this, we can understand why the Gemara was able to learn out from the story of Sodom and Lot that the din that by haNidachas nichsei tzadikim are burnt, like by Lot. When we ask the question, the klal is the Gemara says itself that there's a klal you're not allowed to learn out from before Matan Torah. So how could we learn out from the din that of Sodom that Lot was punished? That was by Sodom. You can't learn out to after Matan Torah. So the Rebbe, we're not learning out a din. We're learning out a fact. You're not allowed to learn dinim from before Matan Torah. You're allowed to learn facts out before Matan Torah. I'll give you an example. How do we know the concept of Sheva Brachas? 7 days you have to be Sameach to Chosan and Kala. Lavan. Lavan said, Mala Shavua Zais. I'll give you Rachel after this week. Let's finish off with Leah. After you finish the 7 days of partying for Leah, then you have Rachel. Then you work for me afterwards, but now's the 7 days. Shaila, how can we learn out before Matan Torah? It's a din from before Matan Torah. We're not learning out a din from before Matan Torah. We're learning out a fact that a person is happy for 7 days afterwards. That there's a week of happiness.
Dafka from Lavan.
A good question. But anyways, obviously there has to be a good reason for that. Even by Lavan, even such a shidduch, such a shver, even with such a shver, you have to make Sheva Brachas.
Even his name was...
One minute. Chassidus says that Lavan, who is called Lavan, that's the highest level, above everything, is pure, no color, anything, is Lavan. There was the positive thing, so we're able to...
So Lamais, we have to go to Ma'ariv, but let's wrap it up, that the Nichsei Tzadikim, the fact that Lot's belongings were burnt in the city is not a halacha, it's showing you a din that a city, an haNidachas city, has a status of one communal city. They're in it as a community. It's a city, it's Yoshvei Ha'ir. It's not individuals, it's the whole city. It's them and their possessions. We're not learning the halacha, we're learning out a fact. Once there's a majority, it receives the status of a city.
What about Egla Arufa?
So based on this, we can understand why the Rambam's psak, that the Ravid questioned very strongly, which is very difficult to understand. That the Rambam says by haNidachas, the unique din that there is the possibility of doing tshuva even by a bezin shalmata. You can do tshuva. Because the tshuva that the tshuva is not a din. The tshuva that the people in the haNidachas do is not a halacha. When they do tshuva, they revert from being a communal city that did an avera, and they come back to being individuals. They took away the aspect of being a tzibur as a city doing it, because they all did tshuva. So it's just it's not a halacha, it's a factual thing. By the fact that they did tshuva, they lost their status as a city anymore. A city, a sinful city.
So that saved them.
So yeah, but it's not against the klal that Gemara Makkas tells us that you're not allowed to, Bezin Shalmata has to ignore tshuva, not allowed to look at tshuva, because Bezin Shalmata has to only deal with what they see with their own eyes, not what's in the heart. Over here, it's not pshat that there's a halacha saying, the Rambam's not telling you a halacha that tshuva helps. Is if they all do tshuva, they automatically lose the status of being a community. And we judge them as individuals, like the Rogatchover said. They're still judged as individuals. They're oiv de avodah zarah. They get punished on an individual level. But being treated as a city, the tshuva has the power to break them as being viewed as a city. And it's not a communal act, it's individual acts, and we have to judge them as individuals. And that's why the Rambam can learn this out from Sodom. How could the Rambam learn this out from Sodom? Because this is what we learn out from Sodom. What do we see by Sodom? Sodom, we know that Targum explains that they could have done Shuvah with Sodom. I had a status, the Gemara says it clearly of haNidachas. I had a status of haNidachas. How did Shuvah help? Because
the Mitzias.
The fact that Sodom as a city, the Davera, can be removed by doing Shuvah. And that you can learn out from Sodom, even though it's before Matan Torah, because it's not a halacha you're learning out. You're learning out the fact that you can revert a status of a city can revert back to individual status. That you can learn from Matan Torah. That's not halacha.
And that's from
Sodom. Unkelis. Targum Unkelis says that if you did Teshuvah, they would have done Teshuvah, Sadoim, they wouldn't have been punished. By the way, in Rashi al Torah, the discussion is more of the immorality of Sadoim, but the Gemara said that there was an haNidachas. They did all the Averis. But
according to Teshuvah, when they did Teshuvah, they don't have the static haNidachas. So why don't they get it now?
They do. That's the Rebbe learns that they do get the individual. They just lost the status of community. They are punished still as individual. It comes like Yeshai, they didn't get a parap on Surah, which is a good child.
Even Saddam was offered how many people would be make sure. Wasn't given many times, but they were given a chance.
Just one quote before we go to marriage. The Rebbe concludes the Sikha to point out, which the Rebbe pointed out a few times, that even though we say that Bezdin cannot judge what's in the heart. So we asked before, what's Pshat? Comes out someone maybe did real Teshuvah. He truly did Teshuvah. But it's a technical aspect because the Bezdin is not able to see to the heart, so they have to be punished them. Seems to be like, comes out a person will be killed for no reason.
They could make a mistake.
There's no such a thing as technical in the Torah. Everything is here for a reason and a purpose. No one is killed or punished for no reason. So the Rebbe explains that the Misa has to do with the Guf. The Guf, still, the Teshuvah that the person did, as Gavaldik as the Teshuvah that he did was, the Teshuvah will only help as Neshama. But his physical body did a certain act in this world, in this physical world, that there's no other kapara besides for being killed. His physical guf needs that misa. So even though in a chanami it could be he did shuvah. This is not what the Noidi Yehuda says. I'm just saying this is a deeper understanding of it, a deeper outlook as to why a person individually killed, even if he taka did shuvah, even if he knew 100% he did shuvah, because shuvah only affects a kapara and his neshama. But his physical body, which did it, has to be killed in order for it to get his atonement.
How we do with Eglan? Committee.
So we see the power of Teshuvah.